I'm going to be honest with all of you, I have tried now about 6 times to record this video. Admittedly, one of them was because I didn't have a mic turned on when I was recording, so I had a really good one and then it was ruined. But I'm doing a video here now because I want to talk about the current situation with Payday. This last week has been possibly one of the worst weeks in Payday's history, and the fact that Starbreeze have done almost nothing about it yet is greatly concerning. Now, as a bit of context, as a lot of you know, I'm partnered with Overkill. I have a partnership with them that allows me to get a little bit of early info on some Payday 2 updates, that kind of thing. Nothing particularly groundbreaking, but there is this misconception that because you're partnered with Overkill, you can't talk negatively about them. So I just want to set the record straight right here. I signed on because they told me that whenever I wanted to be, I could still be critical. They're not policing my content, they're just there to give me a little bit more to support that content, which is good. That's how a partnership should work. And I've personally felt, since I signed on over 3 years ago, that I've not had much reason to criticise them. There's been the odd mistake here and there, but, you know, nobody's perfect, things do go wrong. But this last week, in my opinion, has been handled abhorrently. And that's why I want to just talk about it a little bit. My thoughts are going to be very jumbled, and I apologise for that. I have tried my best to organise these, and I'm really struggling, so I hope that people can keep up with what I'm going to be saying in this. But there are 2 big issues right now. One is how crossplay was handled on Payday 2 yesterday in its new update. 2 is how Payday 3 is being handled, or should I say not being handled, in the lack of marketing. So let's start with Payday 2, because Payday 3 is a rabbit hole I can get into in a minute. Yesterday, Payday 2 released a new update. I wasn't at home for it. I had a job interview, and then a live stream, and then a podcast. So I was not really kind of free enough to look at this at all. I've logged on and had a bit of a look, but really most of my information has come from fellow content creators who've actually looked, tested this stuff out, and have things to report, and also just general fans in my Discord server. And the general consensus is, what Overkill have done is they've released Payday 2 on the Epic Games Store. Great, cool, another platform. They've also introduced crossplay so you can play between PC platforms. Also brilliant. Really, really like that idea. The problem is, they didn't announce this ahead of time. They made no efforts to tell people this was coming and that there might be a bit of a janky launch because, seemingly from their community announcement, they didn't think there would be one. And what's happened is, it's launched. The matchmaking is not working as intended. Many people are struggling to get into heists at all. Issues that no doubt will be fixed, but it doesn't really help a botched launch if things are fixed after the fact. But then what you've also just got, really, is a whole lack of information and transparency as to why this has even happened, why some things are being changed. Matchmaking is now happening via Epic Games Store, so if the Epic servers go down, Payday 2 can't play online. Not ideal. But it just seems to me personally, with this section of the information I want to talk about, that it's too little too late. Why have you added crossplay to Payday 2 when the game has been out for nearly 10 years and, based off Payday 3 leaks, has about 3 months left before it's abandoned for the next game? Why now? Why shouldn't Payday 2 be working towards a point where you can just leave it in a perfect state and move on? That's what I would do. If I was a game developer, and I know this is all rich because I don't know anything about game development, fine. But if it were me, I'd be thinking, what can I do to make the game as perfect as it can be? And with Payday 2, I honestly couldn't say much to you. I really couldn't. It's at a point now, especially with the most recent DLCs, that they've been experimenting around, messing around with the meta, trying to make it a bit more balanced so they can leave it at a good point, so that if you happen to get Payday 3 and want to go back to Payday 2 anytime, you can do. But it feels to me as though what's happened is they want to do crossplay for Payday 3. That seems like a very hot topic right now, especially because now Starbreeze Nebula has an option to connect Epic Games accounts, which means if it works anything like the crossplay right now in Payday 2 that just came out, and also crossplay for Fortnite, for example, Epic Games needs to be connected to whatever you're playing on so that you can make it work. And if Nebula is the account that puts it all together, like an Activision ID for Call of Duty, it makes sense they want you to connect to Epic Games. So I think crossplay is pretty much a safe bet at this point. You wouldn't know for sure, because like anything else for Payday 3, they've not said anything about it. But it feels to me like they're testing the waters on Payday 2 to make sure it's a better launch on Payday 3. Which, in theory, is fine, but the problem with Payday 2 right now, that I don't feel like many people are talking about too much, is that I don't think many people are working on the game. As far as I'm concerned, most people are working on Payday 3, and I would honestly not be surprised if Starbreeze came out and said, by the way, there's like 8 people working on Payday 2 DLC now. That's about it. I mean, heck, why do you think they do music packs now? Why do you think music packs release as a month's DLC? You know, it wasn't even a game update last time, it's just here's some music, see you next month. They're doing that so they have more time to build the heist. Like, to me, that seems painfully obvious, whether they say it or not. So it feels to me as though they're constructing these updates, they think they work fine, but they haven't really got the staff behind it to test these things properly. So Payday 2 is kind of becoming their experimental guinea pig, so they can throw a few things at it and see what sticks before Payday 3 comes out, which is good for most stuff, like guns, etc. But for crossplay, it's a dangerous field to walk, I feel like, personally, and that's why, personally, if it were me, I would have either not done it at all, I would have just left Payday 2 as it was. The idea of bringing in new players to hype up announcement for Payday 3 is great, don't get me wrong, but this close, when the game's been out for this long, just feels a bit like too little too late, but also you just could have been a bit more transparent personally. Like, with my opinion, Starbreeze, you could have just said something like a week ahead and said, by the way, we're cooking this up. Instead, the update came out, Linux users were just told in that moment they were no longer getting support, by the way. So anyone playing on Linux, you can't even download the update, you can't play online anymore, you're done. That's it. So, you know, in one way you go, oh, that's not too bad, there wasn't many updates left anyway, but also, that means they can't play online ever again. They ever want to go back to Payday 2, they're screwed. That's not a good thing to do, at all. I don't know how many people play on Linux. It may only be 20 people. It could be 2 people. It could be the guy that lives around the back of my house that's sniffing on the pizza leftovers in my bin. Doesn't matter how many there are. Alienating that amount of people and not saying it beforehand? Not a fan. Not a fan at all. So that's my first big thing. Right now, I'm hoping that Starbreeze will just put something out and honestly apologise for how they've handled this, because it's warranted at this point. I'm really hoping they do, and if they do, that's great. Then what I've said here has had a response. Brilliant. Maybe it'll get it by the time this video comes out. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, hopefully they say something very early next week. We'll just see it. If they don't, maybe I'll have more to talk about, because obviously updates in the past have had botchy launches and they've been fixed, but matchmaking being broken, and I didn't even mention side jobs, side job progress, reset, any rewards you got, revoked, again, will no doubt get fixed. But it doesn't look great. It just screams that you maybe tested it with a couple of people and thought, this works fine, let's go with it. It's like you could have tested it and just gone, right, you play on Epic, I'll play on Steam, if we can connect, job done, release the update. That's what it feels like, and because you got it to work with one person, you assumed it would work with everyone else when it wasn't a valid sample to apply to the general populace. So I just don't feel like that was prepared well enough. So my constructive criticism is plan a bit more, please put a bit more effort into that kind of thing if you're going to do it again, which I don't think they will. There's barely any time left for Payday 2. But also, be transparent with the community. You guys have been more transparent in recent years, and it just feels like maybe that's slipping away a tiny bit there. Please don't let that go. Please don't. But I say that, and then we come to Payday 3, which is also what I want to talk about, perhaps in even more information, more detail, I should say. Because we have now had, ladies and gents, 3 leaks for Payday 2 in a week, and Starbreeze are playing the good old-fashioned game of, I pretend I do not see. Ha 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 ha. So let me open with a question here, ladies and gentlemen. When Payday 3 opened in 2023, when the announcement, I should say, opened in 2023, 1st of January, with the logo saying this is the year of Payday 3, I'm sure everyone was really excited, right? You guys all thought, that's really cool, great, we're going to get loads of information, can't wait to find out more about the game I've been waiting for since it was first announced in summer 2016. Cool. Here's another question for you that I assume we'll all agree on the answer so far. Do you feel in 2023, in the last 6 months, that it has actually been the year of Payday 3? Because if I was to answer, I'd say no. If previous years have given me more information on the game, the year they're touting as the year of Payday 3, that seems like a bit of a misstep to me personally. 2021's October big Payday 10-year anniversary livestream had Eric Wannabe come out on stage, show concept arts of the 4 main characters, of a bank heist, telling us about what's happening, about this being set in modern day, digital age, being pulled back out of retirement. There was loads of information. We haven't had a shred close to that in 2023, and we're 6 months in. And I feel like even if you couldn't give us that much information to compete, I just feel as though this year you've not really grabbed the bull by the horns, you've not controlled the narrative, and you've not said, here's some more information for Payday 3. Enjoy. You know, I feel like personally as a Payday content creator, the reason that my uploads have not been as frequent is because I've not had much to talk about outside of Payday 2 updates. You probably noticed I used to do weekly Payday 2 videos. My motivation to make Payday 2 videos is at an all-time low, and that's mainly just because I don't have much to talk about now. The game's quite old. I feel like a lot of what I want to say about it has pretty much passed, and surely that's fair play. I'm sure you can all agree with that and understand that logic behind my decision. But I still talk about the updates because that's something new. It's exciting. I like talking about it. I like playing the new updates, so that's fine. But I was hoping that by this point, in between Payday 2 updates, I'd have lots of things to talk about with Payday 3. All I've had is a leak, which I was worried about even posting because I was like, is this even public domain? And it basically is, because once the leak gets out and everyone's talking about it, you can't really ignore it, even though Starbreeze are trying. But the reason that I'm talking about it now, I know I'm very long-winded, like I said, this is very unscripted, I apologise, is because in the last 24 hours, the box art for the game has leaked, and we also now know that Payday 3 will have its own form of V-Bucks. It will have its own premium currency called Payday Credits. It got leaked on a Steam store. I'm not showing any images for anything that's been leaked because, well, for one thing, I don't know if there's any threat of Plyon or anyone involved with the companies, like, taking down anything that shares copyrighted material that's not released yet, so I'm not taking any gambles here. I'm not taking any risks, especially in a video as important as this one. But we now have had so much information in the last week that didn't come directly from Starbreeze, and Starbreeze have again been playing the game of I pretend I do not see. So my message to Starbreeze, and this is why I'm making this video, it's direct to the people at Starbreeze, whether it be Tobias, the CEO, whether it be Almi, whether it be, you know, Bob working on computer number 34 in the Stockholm office. I don't care who it's going to. Do something. That's my message. That is my message. That's my constructive criticism. Maybe very simple. May not be much to it, but it's a very important message. Do something. Because right now, you are letting the game leak very important information, and you're acting as though no one knows anything about it. And the longer you do that, the more people are going to find out. And worse than that, the more people are going to make their own constructive criticism, and sometimes not constructive at all. Several people in my Discord server have already stated that because there's premium currency in Payday 3, their interest has gone from this to this. They don't care anymore because that information has come out and you've not jumped on it to explain it and set context. You need to tell people what's happening here. The last time you did microtransactions was Crime Fest 2015, a mistake that was entirely preventable that you just ran with. You didn't ask the Payday audience what they wanted. You just went, here you go, here's a big load of way you can throw loads of money into Payday 2. Give us money to get weapon skins that may make you better at the game. It was a whole thing during an era where microtransactions were very bad in almost every game. Fair enough. You decided to leap on it. It was a big mistake. And as I've argued previously, I feel like it was more down to previous CEO management. Never proven, but it makes sense. The problem is, while some people, myself, are inclined to believe that you're going to handle it better this time with some kind of premium currency, you aren't showing us that. And so people at base now are sat thinking, are Payday 3 going to do paid DLC packs and microtransactions? Are they going to make everything paid for? You're only going to get a fraction of the game at launch, and then everything else goes on for that, and it snowballs, and it snowballs, and it snowballs. And people are going to keep making assumptions, and what happens then is you get a crazy game of Chinese whispers where everyone's telling each other different things that have been theorized that other people are taking as verbatim fact. And then you go, did you guys hear that Payday 2 is going to have a paid DLC every week, and also there's going to be $20 masks you can buy on the store? None of that's true as far as we know from leaks or you guys telling us that, but it will get to that point if you don't say something. You have to say something. I can feel in my voice just how, like, annoyed I am about this because I have so much respect for Starbreeze, who are a company that nearly went bust. They were in one of the worst situations I've ever seen a game company be in, and they clawed their way back, thanks mainly to the amazing work of Mikael Nermark. Tobias, I can't say his name correctly in Swedish. I think it's pronounced Hergren. Probably completely butchered that again, but he's done a brilliant job too. But you've built up from such a terrible situation for Starbreeze and done what many people deemed impossible, and now the game that you're relying on to save your company, you've already started announcing that you're working on looking at new IPs in press releases, like 2025 you want a new IP or something like that, or there's another game, The Tribe Must Survive, you're going to be publishing. You're starting to build up that portfolio again before Payday 3's even come out, and that's the game you need to succeed for the company to keep going. If Payday 3 fails, I dread to think what happens to Starbreeze. The logical assumption is it fails. So you need to get this right. They know this, we all know this, but they're not getting it right in the marketing. In the year of Payday 3, the most we know is from leaks. That can't fly. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if a game like that had had 250 million Swedish kronor injected to help fund the game, if you had extended rights issues to get even more people investing money in the game, what I'd be doing is putting it front and centre at Summer Games Fest. That's where I would have put it. I know I predicted it wouldn't be there, and even as I said in that video, it was the logical place for it to be. But it wasn't. Like, presumably you've got some kind of plan for where it would show up, but right now, because you're not telling us anything, all we got was a little teaser in May saying, gameplay coming soon. We don't know anything. Like, you've got to share more information. Like, you could have even said the month the gameplay was coming out, and I might have had a bit more faith in the plan right now. You're not communicating any of the relevant information to your audience. Not even from a content creator standpoint. Am I annoyed I've not got news to report on? Very much so. Am I annoyed more as a fan that I don't know what's coming in a game I'm supposed to be very excited for? Yes. Like, right now, as a very big Payday fan, I'm like, ooh, 2023, what have I got for games this year? Jedi Survivor was really good. I liked Forspoken, hot take, whatever. Spider-Man 2, that's coming out, amazing. There's a Sonic game, there's really cool stuff. Oh, Payday 3's coming out as well. It's crazy, because that's not been mentioned nearly as much as anything else. Do you see what I mean? Spider-Man 2 came out at Summer Games Fest after a big reveal a week ago, came out again and shared even more information. And that's coming out in October, 1 month later than Payday 3. I just don't understand the logic behind this marketing scheme. You've got Payday 2 releasing crossplay in a very botched way that people are not enjoying, and reviews for Steam are plummeting for Payday 2 right now as a result. And you've got Payday 3 leaks coming out left, right, and centre that are allowing people to make judgments that could be completely false. I mean, hell, it could be that premium currency is going to be executed in a terrible way in Payday 2. I'm an optimist. I hope they're going to handle it well. But we don't know what's going on. So overkill. Starbreeze, Jeff, whoever I need to talk to. I don't know who Jeff is. Jeff Keighley? I don't know who I'm talking to. Whatever. The point is, Starbreeze, do something. Please, I am begging you, as not just a content creator and not just as an Overkill partner, as a fan, do something. Because if you let this sit much longer, people are going to lose interest. Many game companies at the minute are doing things that are annoying people, whether it's Activision taking down a whole bunch of old COD client supports, or allowing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War to sit for a week plus and letting people grab your IP addresses without even acknowledging it. There are many companies right now with many reasons to dislike them. And Starbreeze, despite its financial issues, despite mistakes in the past with CrimeFest, with consoles, in recent years, I feel like it's been one of the companies that has been transparent, that has shared things when they're relevant, and has talked about stuff to their audience. And it feels, in this year in particular, because you're so worried about getting Payday 3 right, you're not sharing enough. If you keep your cards this close to your chest, there's a chance they're going to slip through, and you've had 3 slip in less than a week. If anything else leaks now, it's going to be dire straits. The last thing I want now is to find out something else about Payday 3 before you lot share something. So please, before it's too late, say something. Put something out. Share some information about when we're seeing the gameplay reveal. Give us a date. Give us something. Because if, honestly, we don't hear something by the end of June, I won't blame people for losing interest. Because I'm going to struggle myself to even keep interest up. Because I'm going to be sat here thinking, what's going on? The only thing I know is from accidental leaks from store listings and Steam databases. It's not good. I feel so het up and so annoyed. I don't want to say angry because that feels excessive. It does feel excessive despite the situation. And like I said, I want to be constructive to Starbreeze. I'm not sat here flaming them, saying that they're a terrible company. I don't believe that for a second. What I do believe is that they're making mistakes right now and there's a very easy way to fix them. If you have a marketing plan, that's great. Either share it or move it up and get it out there. Do one of the two. Don't just sit there and pretend like we don't see anything. I mean, literally, I took a clip from Almir's stream. When I made that video about Summer Games Fest, the way it opened with Almir saying summer's coming up, that was from the most recent dev stream at the time. In the end of May, the start of June. The start of June, wasn't it, actually? Let me check. Yeah, the 1st of June. Into the 6th month, all Almir could say was, it's coming soon, right? Come on. You say come on, and this is not a offense to Almir. I love you, beardy boy. I really do. But you say that as if it's like, come on, guys, you know it's coming. Do we? Do we really know that much anymore? That teaser did not do much to really get much excitement going. Like, it was a very cool shock wow moment, but that's settled, and there's been nothing in over a month. Leaks are not the way to market a game, guys. They're just not. And if leaks do come out, you can spin them in a way to make them exciting. You can go, hey, by the way, that's really cool. In fact, here's the best example. Here's the best example. Sonic Superstars just got announced yesterday at Summer Games Fest, and immediately Wario64 on Twitter noted that Best Buy had listed it at $70. What did the Sonic account do? Within hours, they replied and went, it's $60, want to make that clear for you guys. It leaked before they wanted it to leak, but they still clarify for the sake of the audience so that people didn't start making false assumptions. Do the same thing. Please. Do something. I'm begging you. I'm ending the video there because I feel like I don't want to turn into an angry person. I don't want to go nuts. You guys know I'm a very positive and optimistic person, but there's just an issue here that needs to be addressed. And so that's me getting my thoughts out. Let me know what you think about everything in the comment section below. Do you feel like your enthusiasm for Payday 3 is failing because of these leaks? If you didn't know about the premium currency, Payday getting its own V-Bucks, what do you think of that? I'm sure the responses are not going to be good to that, but I just have to hope that they're going to do it in a good way. But for a game that was so customizable and so cosmetic, I hope they handle it in a good way. In my head now, I'm struggling already to avoid making assumptions as to how it's going to work. I don't want to think about the special Dallas mask being $10 on the Payday 3 store. That scares me. That really scares me. But with them not saying anything, you can't stop people from making their own conclusions, and if they don't do something soon, that's all they're going to get. Thanks for watching, everyone. And Starbreeze, please. I'm going to end the way I opened this with Payday 3 with 2 words. Do something.